All right, we're going to move on to item 8.03, which is the Northwest Aquatics Complex operative documents. We have estimated 10 minutes for this item. So this 10 minutes is to vote on the operative documents relative to board direction at the November 4th regular meeting to complete the partnership effort with the City of Arvada and Apex Park and Recreation District for the Northwest Aquatics Project, also known as replacement of Meyers Pool. For our vast audience, on November 4th, the board approved the intergovernmental agreement, the IGA, with the City of Arvada, Apex, and Jeffco Public Schools regarding the Northwest Aquatics Project and the loan terms to support the IGA and to finance construction. On October 20th, the board directed staff to finalize the IGA, solicit bids for the project's financing, and report on the loan for the project. The partnership agreement provides for Jeffco Public Schools and the City of Arvada to jointly finance construction of the aquatics complex, with Apex providing ongoing management and operations at the site. The George J. Meyers Swimming Center, the Meyers Pool, owned by the City of Arvada and operated by the Apex Park and Recreation District, is almost 50 years old and in need of replacement. A plan has been developed to keep the pool in operation until a new pool opens. The estimated end of the pool's useful life is 2023. Superintendent Dorland, do you have anything to add regarding this agenda item?
No, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Bell, and he'll begin.
Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Bell. Welcome back.
Thank you. President Schooley, members of the board, Superintendent Dorland. This is the culmination that we had discussed in November following the award of the loan package to Glacier Bank as the single lender on the transaction based upon the terms and conditions of their bid submitted. Just a quick summary. Prior to that, we had solicited bids from institutional investors across the country through our investment banking team. And we had 18 indications of interest to bid on the transaction on November 2nd, which was the date that we received competitive bids for this financing. We received 7 firm proposals. As discussed in November, the best bid, the winning bid, was identified as Glacier Bank at a 2.25% borrowing rate based on terms and conditions outlined in their bid submittal. Following that time, as we indicated then, we spent time with legal counsel from the city, from our district, from the bank as the lender, and our bond counsel to finalize the relevant documents for this transaction to close. The closing is currently scheduled to take place on December 22nd. The City of Arvada authorized their ordinance Monday night on second reading by unanimous vote. We will entertain a motion by our board tonight as prepared by bond counsel, which is in your packet, designated as the resolution. That resolution will authorize the operative documents and recite the terms and conditions that were inherent in the bid submitted by the bank on November 2nd. So that is where we are. We've been talking about this for quite some time. Some of us have. Those of you that are new, welcome. We think we have a very value-added asset for our community on a very unique borrowing structure. That is, we have 2 parties, both the school district and the city, that are partnering on the financing with a third partner, Apex Park and Rec District, which will provide for the operation and maintenance of the facility. They are currently doing that for the Meyers Pool project as it exists. So this is quite unique. I can just tell you, one of the council members in Arvada Monday night made the comment that he thought we were decades ahead of the rest of the country on this type of structure, which I thought was complimentary to the team. So there we are. I think we're pretty familiar with this project and the process that has brought us to this point.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. I'm going to go ahead and ask for the motion on this agenda item, and then we can, if there is a second, we can have the discussion as part of that motion. Mr. Bell?
Bond counsel would like, just for the record, that the resolution be read by title as the introductory motion.
Okay. Where are you? It's the first paragraph, my apologies, for Miss Reed, just so she has the correct language to be able to read the. Oh, perfect, great.
It's at the top of the page and it's in the dark caps, bold caps. That's a request from bond counsel, just for the record.
That's absolutely fine. I just didn't have it right at my fingertips.
You just want the title read into the record?
Correct.
Okay. Resolution of the Jefferson County School District, number R1, Jefferson and Broomfield Counties, Colorado, approving a lease purchase financing to provide funds for the construction of a replacement aquatic center on the site of the Meyers pool, authorizing and approving lease purchase agreement and other documentation in connection with the cooperative financing with the city of Arvada, and providing other details, parameters, and authorization in connection with lease purchase financing.
Thank you.
I move that the Board of Education approves the operative documents of the sale relative to the award to vendor Glacier Bank for the construction of the Northwest Aquatic Complex.
Is there a second?
Second?
Okay, discussion?
I just have a couple clarifications, Mr. Bell. One is that we are paying basically 50-50 with Arvada and Jefferson's Public Schools. The agreement is only for 25 years, and we are only paying, we don't pay fees for 25 years. At the end of those 25 years, we are back on the regular contract. Is that correct?
Transaction is a 20-year term.
Okay.
And the fee, the use of the facility, because we'll be an equity owner, we will not be paying fees so long as we choose to continue as an equity owner. Now, at the end of the 20-year term, when the financing is paid, it is possible that maybe we make a decision to do something different, but that's not in the documents as it exists.
Right.
So we are going to be an equity participant in this transaction when it's paid for.
Through the 20 years. And then when the 20 years is, then we have to make a decision at that point whether or not we continue on in some type of relationship, correct? Do we own it 50-50 at 20 years?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, then the other question I have is if Jeffco is responsible for 50% of the cost, correct, if there's related to the facility, right? But it says that the capital repair cost of $1.5 million over becomes an issue. There are three parties that vote as to who's going to be paying for that. And that means Arvada, Apex, and then us. So they have two votes and we have one. Is that correct? So that if we go over $1.5 million, we don't really have a 50-50 split. We have to go with what they say. Is that correct?
No, the Apex is the operation and maintenance arm. They are not the ownership and financing arm.
Oh, I understand, but I was under the understanding that if it's a capital repair cost or over a certain amount of money, then the Apex and Arvada, I could be wrong, I'll go back and look, but I thought it was that if it goes over a certain cost, Arvada and Apex can say, yes, we need to go forward with that cost, and we would have to agree to that.
That would be subject to, I think, negotiation at that particular point in time. I understand your point.
Right.
Right, that there's two of them and one of us if we
Right.
have to vote and
Right.
they could force us. Keep
Right.
in mind, though, this is an asset that we own.
I understand.
So we may at some point in time, I agree with you, we may at some point in time, if we exhaust the $1.5 million capital replacement reserve that is part of the IGA, that there may be something needed for that facility, not unlike any other facility that we own. And so we would make the decision at that point in time if we wanted to make that investment. The benefit, however, is we have two other partners in that facility. So I guess to answer your question directly, yes, that could possibly happen.
Right, that was my question. Okay, thank you.
Other questions, Dr. Berta?
I don't have a question. I just have some comment. I've been learning about this process, and I spent some time reviewing the IGA and the loan package, and I completely agree with the council member. I had a moment where I was like, wow, this is extremely innovative. And it made me wonder, and I'm really naive on this, I don't know, what else can we do in our schools that can be an intergovernmental agreement where our schools are benefiting? And I thought, can we do this with libraries? Can we, how many of our sports facilities have we paid for when perhaps we could have done an intergovernmental agreement with someone else, taking on the cost of the operations? And I just, as I was reading it, I just wanted to say I got more and more kind of excited about what we've done here. And I didn't know that when I first started looking at it. So I know that we're being asked to approve the loan package. I also believe the IGA is something that we are being asked to look at. I just want to say from a board perspective, that's where I really want to keep an eye on, how we're implementing that and just making sure that, our students are benefiting, we're getting our use that we should out of it. I think that's where we can be kind of forward thinking right now in terms of really asking, does the IGA work in this way? If we do this again, is this the same IGA we'd want to use in the future? So I'm excited about this project, and I think that I hope that it's a model that we could use to supplement a school district that is really needing extra funds so that we can think about other ways. And I would just add one thing on the IGA that we got. It just has the incorrect board member signature page. So it still lists Susan Harmon as the.
I think, and I'll defer to council.
Oh, I thought we were voting on this tonight.
That the IGA has been approved, and the reason it has Ms. Harmon's name on it is she was the officer of record as president at the time.
Yeah. So that's already signed.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We won't erase her from.
That's okay. We just didn't get the signed version, so I didn't realize there was a signature on it already. So thanks.
Yes.
I just wanted to add in here, this is not the first time we've done this, since you were asking. So when we redid Columbine in 1995, we went in with Foothills Recreation, and we expanded the tennis courts. And I'm trying to remember exactly how that worked. I think that we gave them part of Columbine's property, and Foothills built the tennis courts on it, so they paid for that on our property, and then we split the use of those two things. When we wanted to get rid of a bunch of dirt to dig down and create our new auditorium, our then principal, Ron Mitchell, went to Foothills and said, y'all need a sledding hill, and we've got dirt, and we will seed it for you if you will let us dump it in Clement Park, and it is now Rebel Hill. So we have done this before, and it can be a really great arrangement.
Great. Thank you. Anything to add?
Yes, thank you. I did not know about this project until the very end when we were running for the school board. And so I had to do a lot of catch-up work and figure out what it was doing. I'm going to tell you right now, I come from 3 generations of swimmers. I used to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to take my kids to swim practice. So I appreciate the equity that we're building in now. So all our high schoolers have the same opportunity to practice, train, and have the swim mates at a quality pool. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. I want to make sure that everybody in our district, all the students, have the same opportunity. I understand this was an unusual way to get a nice pool for the kids to swim in. And I understand that now it's an option for future articulation areas that may want to upgrade their facilities. But I think that's a good thing, as Ms. Varda and Ms. Reed were saying. I think anytime we can find a way to cooperate with other entities, intergovernmental or whatever, I think it's a great thing, because there are going to be times when we are really going to be the ones who are going to benefit the most from the opportunities. So thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Any other comments, questions?
Yeah, I am going to make a comment. We're being asked this evening to commit over $22 million to help build a school or build a pool in Arvada that was never taken to the voters in Arvada. And I'm sure each one of us really does support all the extracurriculars activities. We've just been talking about how important it is for our students to have access to that for well-rounded development for our kiddos. And I believe all of us ran for the board to do what is right by students and by staff and by our community. We talk about our values and we talk about our priorities, but the way we show our values is how we allocate our funds. And tonight, we heard how we have needs for our teachers and we have needs for additional staff, et cetera. And we are committing to spend $22 million over the next number of years. And we need to be thinking about this also from an equity lens. There's money that could have been spent towards Mulholm or Vivian, et cetera. And we are setting a precedent. I want us to be very clear that when we do this, we are setting a precedent that Foothills and Wheat Ridge and Golden and Evergreen and Harmony could come and say, hey, we want to do this as well. And we want the same type of structure that you're building for Arvada for those 5 high schools. We want that for our community from an equity perspective. Jefferson and Alameda are not necessarily going to be accessing this pool. So I am not going to be in favor of this evening. This money should be going for the purpose of our competency of teaching our children and to be providing opportunities for our kiddos. And that's where I'm drawing my line in the sand. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Miller.
For some clarity, just really quickly, my understanding is that the decision to do this has already been made, that at this point we're just...
Nope, there is history where we have turned decisions that have been made by previous boards onto a different decision and a different path.
So there has been, yes, there is, what we have already voted on is setting this process in motion. And so this is the final step, is my understanding.
That is correct. We did award the sale of this transaction to an institutional lender.
Mhm.
We made that award. The board did.
Yeah, to finance it. Mhm. Other questions? I know. Mhm.
So what would be the implication if we were to not approve at this level, this particular resolution? If we said, no, not going to do it, what would be the implications for the project?
I'll share maybe my opinions of what they may be. First of all, I think we have a real relationship issue with the city of Arvada because this project has been in the works for several years. This isn't something that just came up. We would have an issue with our lender. Our lender wants to close this transaction by year end. That was part of their commitment and request by us, which we agreed to following the board's award. I think that it would put this project in jeopardy, and I don't know to what extent. I guess the other thing I would say to you is this is a matter of, in my opinion, what I'll refer to as institutional integrity. Our Board of Education approved this transaction and awarded the sale to a lending institution that's not a Colorado institution, but we made a commitment as an organization. I think our organizational commitments are significant. And I think that our institutional integrity is significant. That's my comment.
I just want to add, through the process, we have gone through, we have aquatics needs in the Northern Corridor. What are our options? And we did present to the board in a study, I think it was a study dialogue session, build it ourselves on one of our high school properties and manage it ourselves, engage in this partnership. We explored transportation options to other pools like VMAC and Thornton. There's a pool apparently in Boulder. They have limited usage times available because they're very busy. And so we did, so the other implication is that the Meyers pool has a limited lifespan. It was closed, I understand, in the last year or so based on facility issues for a period of time. And we believe that it may be needing to be shut down. If that happens, then what happens for our athletes in that part of town? So we did explore that, and I just want to take it down to impact on kids and students and families. It would provide a very difficult situation for the athletes in Arvada. We have talked extensively about that. And then I just also want to make sure on this IGA question that Ms. Miller asked, if I do want to pause and just say, if Melissa, if you have anything to add in terms of that IGA question that was asked, the IGA is approved. We've signed it, but I do think it's a question that if the board wants an answer, I think Melissa can also jump in.
I think Steve answered that accurately. I didn't look at it tonight, but I remember reviewing it in the past, and it's a three-party vote, and so yes, if the other two parties voted to go forward with that cost, then the district under the IGA as it stands, the cost would move forward and be shared.
And yeah, I just want to make sure you didn't have any legal perspective to add to that. So.
Other questions? And I know that, this project one, it well precedes my tenure on the board, and I know it was a series of conversations. I do think the relationships are really important. We live in an ecosystem of other municipalities, and there are, I think, the opportunities to be in partnership with municipalities in service to our kids is a really powerful one, and it also has risks. And so it's, it's sort of a both and for me, but I want to move forward and go ahead and call the question unless there are any other comments or questions that folks have, because I want everyone to be able to make their vote the way they need to. Okay. I will repeat. I will repeat the motion on the table. It has been moved and seconded to approve the operative documents of sale relative to the award to vendor Glacier Bank for the construction of the Northwest Aquatic Complex. Roll call, please, Ms. Frigo.
Miss Miller,
No.
Miss Parker,
Yes.
Miss Reed,
Yes.
Miss Schooley,
Yes.
Miss Varda.
Yes.
Thanks to everyone. I know this has been a lot of conversations for a lot of individuals. And I truly do believe that this is going to be a big benefit, not just to our student athletes, but to our community members, to our parents and families and everyone else that live in the northern area. So thank you very much for your work.
Thank you.
Okay.